Emotional attachments can often serve as a source of both joy and turmoil, especially when they no longer align with our personal growth or peace of mind. Navigating through the process of emotionally detaching from someone can feel overwhelming, as it involves addressing deep-rooted feelings, memories, and shared experiences that we might not be ready to let go of. The attachment to someone is rarely just about the person, but also about what they represent in your life: companionship, support, or even a sense of identity. This makes detachment feel not only like a loss of a relationship, but also a challenge to your own emotional stability. It's important to acknowledge that emotional detachment doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process of reclaiming your emotional independence and finding a sense of balance that allows you to prioritize your own mental health. This journey might seem daunting, especially when you are still emotionally invested in the person. However, it's crucial to recognize that emotional attachments, while natural, can sometimes become burdensome when they interfere with your inner peace and growth. Whether it's a romantic relationship, a close friendship, or even familial ties, there are moments when detachment becomes necessary for your well-being. This is where Stoicism, a philosophy known for its timeless wisdom on emotional resilience, comes into play. Stoicism offers a practical framework that teaches us how to detach from emotional dependencies in a way that is not only healthy, but also empowering. The teachings of Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, are particularly relevant in this regard. His insights on emotional control, self-discipline, and inner peace provide valuable guidance on how to navigate the complexities of detaching from someone emotionally. Through Stoicism, we learn that emotional detachment is not about becoming indifferent or emotionally numb, but rather about maintaining our inner tranquility and protecting our emotional boundaries. In this video, we're going to delve into 5 Stoic principles, inspired by Marcus Aurelius, that will help you through the process of emotionally detaching from someone. By applying these principles, you'll gain the tools to prioritize your own well-being, maintain emotional balance, and free yourself from the unnecessary burdens of unhealthy attachments. These principles will guide you through the emotional complexities, helping you find peace within yourself, regardless of the external circumstances. 1. Understand the nature of control. The cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, as articulated by Marcus Aurelius, revolves around a crucial distinction: understanding what lies within our control and what does not. This concept is foundational not only to the Stoic approach to life, but also to emotionally detaching from others. Emotional entanglement often persists because we blur these boundaries and mistakenly believe that by controlling external elements, like another person's emotions, decisions, or behavior, we can ensure stability and certainty. The need for control, however, is often a response to deeper insecurities or fears, such as a fear of abandonment, rejection, or unpredictability. When you find yourself emotionally attached to someone, it's important to recognize that this attachment is often driven by the unconscious desire to influence how they act, feel, or think. We invest emotional energy into changing situations that are inherently out of our hands, which leads to frustration and emotional distress. For example, trying to control how a partner treats you or hoping to influence their decisions about the future are forms of attachment that can leave you feeling powerless when they don't respond as you'd hope. Stoicism teaches that the more we try to exert control over what is beyond our influence, the more emotional suffering we bring upon ourselves. Conversely, by focusing on what is within our control, our own thoughts, behaviors, and responses, we regain a sense of emotional autonomy. Letting go of the need to control others liberates you from unrealistic expectations, paving the way for emotional detachment. It's not about apathy or coldness, but about creating healthy emotional boundaries that protect your well-being. When you internalize the Stoic idea that you cannot control others, whether it's their actions, emotions, or choices, you begin to free yourself from the weight of unrealistic expectations. This realization is liberating because it allows you to focus on what you can control, your own thoughts, actions, and reactions. If you're struggling with emotionally detaching from someone who no longer reciprocates your efforts, instead of trying to change them or fix the situation, you can redirect your energy toward yourself. Focus on limiting your emotional investment, establishing boundaries, or engaging in self-care practices. Understanding the nature of control also helps shift your focus from external validation to internal contentment. Emotional attachments often deepen when we seek validation, approval, or affection from others to confirm our sense of worth. When you accept that external validation is beyond your control, you begin to detach emotionally from the need for constant reassurance. Instead, you find strength in your own self-worth, which becomes independent of how others perceive or treat you. Moreover, recognizing what is and isn't within your control enables you to release the emotional tension that comes from constantly trying to manage or predict outcomes in relationships. You start to see that the only thing you can truly influence is your own mindset and behavior. By focusing on this, you reclaim your power and create space for emotional detachment. It's not about becoming detached in a cold or indifferent way, but about ensuring that your emotional well-being isn't contingent on factors outside of your influence. Letting go of control leads to greater inner peace. 2. Reflect on the impermanence of relationships. The second key principle in emotionally detaching is embracing the Stoic concept of impermanence. Marcus Aurelius often meditated on the transient nature of life, reminding himself that everything in life, people, relationships, emotions, and even our own lives are temporary. This idea is not meant to inspire pessimism, but to encourage a realistic, accepting approach to life. By reflecting on impermanence, you shift your perspective, understanding that relationships are part of life's ebb and flow, and that holding on to them out of fear is futile. No relationship, no matter how significant, can defy impermanence. While relationships bring joy, connection, and meaning to our lives, they are inherently subject to change. Sometimes, emotional attachment becomes stronger because we fear the loss of a relationship and the void it might leave behind. Fear of the unknown, what will happen without that person, keeps us holding on tighter, even when the relationship no longer serves us in a healthy way. Clinging to this false sense of permanence causes unnecessary suffering. Understanding impermanence also helps you let go of emotional baggage that comes with attachments. We often attach emotionally to the idea of a relationship rather than the reality of it, clinging to what it represented in the past or what we hope it will become in the future. By accepting that relationships, like all things, have a natural cycle, you can detach emotionally without feeling as though you've failed. Detachment is not about rejecting the relationship, but about accepting its natural conclusion. Embracing impermanence allows you to approach emotional detachment with gratitude rather than bitterness. Instead of fixating on the end of a relationship, reflect on the positive experiences and lessons it brought into your life. With this mindset, you shift your focus from loss to growth, seeing the end of the relationship not as something to grieve endlessly, but as part of your personal evolution. The lessons you've learned prepare you for healthier, more balanced relationships in the future, while also fostering resilience. By meditating on impermanence, you also become more present in your relationships. Instead of holding on to past grievances or worrying about the future, you learn to appreciate relationships for what they are in the moment. This awareness fosters healthier emotional boundaries, preventing the kind of attachment that leads to unnecessary emotional suffering. 3. Practice self-compassion. Detaching emotionally from someone can be emotionally draining, often triggering feelings of guilt, sadness, or frustration. This is why self-compassion is a vital component of emotional detachment. Marcus Aurelius frequently emphasized the need for self-reflection and emotional understanding, advocating a balance between rationality and emotional empathy, especially toward oneself. It's easy to fall into a cycle of self-criticism when trying to emotionally detach. You may second-guess your decision, wondering whether you're being too harsh or whether you should have done more to salvage the relationship. However, Stoicism reminds us that emotional detachment is not about shutting down your emotions or becoming cold. Instead, it's about creating space for healthier emotional boundaries, and self-compassion plays a critical role in this. Practicing self-compassion means acknowledging your emotions without judgment. Instead of seeing your attachment as a weakness or failure, recognize that it's a natural part of being human. Emotional detachment can be challenging, but it doesn't make you a bad person. You're allowed to feel conflicted, to take time to process your emotions, and to move through the detachment process at your own pace. Self-compassion also involves recognizing that it's okay to prioritize your emotional well-being, even if it means distancing yourself from someone you care about. Emotional attachments can become harmful when they drain your energy, disrupt your inner peace, or prevent personal growth. By practicing self-compassion, you give yourself permission to choose yourself and your well-being. When you approach emotional detachment with self-compassion, you're less likely to harbor resentment or bitterness. Instead of focusing on blame, whether directed at yourself or the other person, you can approach the situation with understanding. This makes the process of detachment less painful and more liberating, as it allows you to move forward with greater emotional clarity and peace. 4. Reframe your perspective. One of the most powerful tools in Stoicism is the ability to reframe challenges in a way that supports personal growth. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized the importance of seeing obstacles not as burdens, but as opportunities for development. When it comes to emotional detachment, this principle is especially useful. Rather than viewing the end of a relationship as a failure or a loss, you can reframe it as a stepping stone in your journey towards self-discovery and emotional independence. Reframing your perspective allows you to see the relationship in a new light. Instead of focusing on the pain or disappointment, you can look for the lessons it has taught you. Every relationship, no matter how it ends, has something valuable to offer. Whether it's teaching you about your own boundaries, helping you understand what you need in a healthy relationship, or simply showing you areas where you need to grow. These lessons are what shape your emotional resilience. By shifting your focus from loss to growth, you empower yourself to move forward with greater clarity. This reframing not only helps you emotionally detach from the past, but also equips you with the emotional tools to approach future relationships with more wisdom. You'll find that by viewing emotional detachment as a part of your personal evolution, you're able to let go of the emotional weight and move forward with a sense of purpose. 5. Prioritize your inner peace. At the heart of Stoicism lies the pursuit of inner peace. Marcus Aurelius was a firm believer that true tranquility comes from within, and that it is our responsibility to protect that inner peace, even in the face of external challenges. When emotionally detaching from someone, prioritizing your inner peace is essential. This means making decisions that are in alignment with your well-being, even if they're difficult or uncomfortable. Emotional detachment, when understood through the Stoic principles, is not about withdrawing from life or relationships, but about cultivating healthy boundaries that preserve our emotional well-being. It allows us to experience life with greater clarity, peace, and freedom from the burdens that excessive emotional attachment can create. By recognizing that we cannot control others, accepting the impermanence of all things, and approaching relationships with self-compassion, we can find balance in how we interact with the world around us. In modern life, where emotions often run high, especially in relationships, emotional detachment becomes essential. It empowers us to avoid the pitfalls of emotional burnout, frustration, and dependency. Stoicism teaches that true emotional freedom comes not from controlling others or seeking validation from them, but from understanding ourselves and our reactions. This process begins by focusing on what we can control: our thoughts, behaviors, and attitudes, while releasing the need to manipulate external circumstances. When we do this, we build resilience and mental clarity. As we apply these Stoic teachings, we begin to realize that detachment is a tool for emotional strength, not a form of indifference. By practicing detachment, we can approach our relationships with a sense of peace, knowing that we can invest in others without losing ourselves in them. This mindset allows us to experience life more fully, appreciating the present moment without becoming ensnared in fear or anxiety about the future. Detachment also enables us to navigate the ebb and flow of relationships with grace. When we understand that everything is transient, we stop holding on to things that no longer serve us. Instead of clinging to relationships or situations out of fear of loss, we learn to let go when the time comes. This practice is liberating, as it removes the emotional baggage that often accompanies attachment and allows us to move forward with greater ease and confidence. Self-compassion is a key element in this journey. It is natural to feel conflicted or sad when emotionally detaching from someone or something that was once important to us. However, by being kind to ourselves during this process, we create the space needed to heal and move on. Stoicism teaches us to accept our emotions without judgment, offering ourselves the same understanding and empathy we would offer to a loved one facing a similar challenge. By practicing self-compassion, we can detach without guilt or regret. In relationships, this approach encourages us to maintain healthy emotional boundaries. We can care deeply for others without allowing ourselves to become emotionally dependent on them for our happiness. When we detach in this way, we prevent the emotional overwhelm that often comes from excessive attachment, allowing us to experience more balanced, fulfilling connections with others. Emotional detachment, rooted in the Stoic principles of understanding control, impermanence, and self-compassion, is a powerful tool for personal growth. It allows us to engage with the world and those around us with greater freedom, peace, and emotional clarity. By practicing these principles consistently, we can transform our relationships with ourselves and others, cultivating healthier, more meaningful connections. If you're ready to begin your journey toward emotional detachment and inner peace, start by reflecting on the principles we've discussed. Assess your relationships, identify areas where you may be overly attached, and begin the process of releasing those emotional burdens. Trust that as you practice detachment, you will gain the emotional freedom to live life on your own terms, without being controlled by the ups and downs of external circumstances. Take the first step today, embrace the freedom that comes with emotional detachment, and create space for more peace, growth, and happiness in your life.